As an empath, do you relate? Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sigma Empath podcast show, The Rant, meaning it's just me, no guests. I just want to dive in and talk about empath issues, narcissist issues, situations. And today's talking point, I'm just going to talk off the top of my head because these are thoughts that I have. I want to share them with you and I want to get your feedback. As an empath, do you relate? Do you experience the same challenges? Do you have a solution? Do you have an answer? The objective is to make this a highly interactive community where we can be supportive of each other. I'm a life coach. I'm an author. I wrote the book called Pink is the Color of Empathy. I'm also a keynote speaker. If you follow me on Instagram, I've got about 174,000 followers. Let's dive into this talking point. And today's talking point is, why is life, general life, why is it hard for the empath? There are several reasons, and as usual, I will save what I believe is the most poignant up until the end. But there are a couple of initial thoughts that come to mind. The first one is, the odds as an empath that you experience some form of childhood trauma are really high. So even before you've had a chance to experience life on this realm, in this dimension, on this planet, because I firmly romantically believe that our souls are from a different planet because we don't belong, we don't fit in. But it's really a question of why don't we belong and why don't we fit in? And it comes down to really one thing. There's one fundamental essence of the human experience that we don't belong, we don't fit in. We can fit in, we can fake it sometimes, but it's exhausting, but we don't belong. So you start your journey as a human. And again, the odds as an empath, you've experienced childhood trauma. If you have experienced childhood trauma, I know this is a really vulnerable thing to share on a public forum, but here's what I've learned in my vulnerability talking about my childhood trauma. It empowers others. It lets others know that they're not alone, and that unto itself is healing. It's empowering to know there are other people who can relate to you, who have gone through the same type of thing. So if you're courageous enough, willing enough, let me know, have you experienced childhood trauma as an empath, as anybody, as any type of human being? Have you experienced childhood trauma? So most empaths begin their life journey with childhood trauma. Now there's the debate, nature or nurture. But most empaths have experienced childhood trauma. And a part of the reason why they experience childhood trauma is because their innate energy is already different. They're different because they've been given certain gifts. Specifically, a lot of empath infants are born into dysfunction. They are born to oftentimes toxic parents. Now, toxicity is relative. It's on a scale. There are different levels of toxicity. Some people just argue a lot. Some parents are alcoholic. They're physically abusive. They're sexually abusive. They're emotionally abusive. Sometimes it's all of the above. Sometimes it's a single family where the mother is just simply incapable or the father is simply incapable to handle the responsibility of having a child. Maybe they were too young. Maybe their example came from their parents that was also toxic, so the cycle gets perpetuated by the parent. But either way, one of the things that the empath often does, they're here to be the black sheep, to break the cycle of toxicity, to break the cycle of abuse, which unto itself invites even more trauma, invites even more abuse, not now just only from the parents, but if you have siblings, as an empath, as the black sheep, you're now going to get friction and tension with your other siblings who are conforming to the ways of that family, and you have this innate ability to identify, sense, know, see that this behavior is wrong. And you actually have the courage to stand up against it and say, like, no, this is not right. I will not allow this to happen. And then you get crucified throughout the entirety of your childhood because you are different. You are not going along with this cycle of abuse. So right there from the bat, as a child, you already don't belong. It's now become your DNA. That's all you know. I don't belong. I don't fit in. Again, let me know, were you the black sheep in your family? And I want to invite you also to go even deeper. If you were the black sheep, what were some of the strategies that you had to implement to navigate it, to overcome? And while you were a child, were you aware that you were different? Were you aware that you were the black sheep? Sometimes children are just simply unaware. They just are. They are being. They are in the moment, surviving, doing whatever it is that they can. And some children have a level of awareness that, no, I can almost step out of myself, look down and realize this dynamic here is wrong. And I'm going to take on the responsibility to fix this. I'm going to stand up to this horrific treatment from my narcissist parents. I'm not going to allow this to happen. Let me know if you've experienced that. So you're already not fitting in from childhood. And then you go through your teenage years, which is already quite confusing for any teenager. Puberty, trying to figure out who you are, what's happening to your body, what's happening to your brain. Everything is changing. And then now you're facing peer pressure. And again, you don't belong because you perceive and experience the world differently. And while all your friends or your acquaintances at school, your classmates are all kind of subscribing to one behavior, one mindset, and you're off here on your own thinking like, well, what is wrong with everybody? Well, wait a minute. Maybe there's something wrong with me because they're all perfectly fine with each other. Why am I so different? I'm a freak. What is wrong with me? And then that now magnifies this level of alienation because you start to take on the responsibility that maybe there's something wrong with you. Everybody else seems to be getting along fine. Everybody subscribes. You don't yet realize that they're being sheep. You just think, what's wrong with me? And so you're trying to fight from every angle of life, childhood, puberty, and then you get into adulthood and the same thing starts to happen. You realize, wow, this mind game that we have to play on this planet, we have to be inauthentic to blend in. We have to be shallow and superficial to belong, to be a part of the gang, so to speak. And the challenge for the empath is that everything about you is designed to be the complete opposite. You don't particularly like superficial, shallow conversation. You want depth and meaning. What is the meaning of life? Rather than, yo, dude, what's up? And you have trouble experiencing this superficial level of relationships. And you can watch everybody and identify, well, they've just lied to their best friend over here and they're manipulating that person over there. And that person's being submissive to this bully and everybody's buying into it. And then you get into the workplace. If you work in corporate America, in any corporate environment, good luck because the same patterns continue. You've got the toxic, the alpha male, the alpha woman who is toxic, who manipulates everybody, who bullies everybody into submission, and everybody goes along with it. Everybody seems to love the charm and their charisma. And you're like, do they not see what I'm seeing? Do they not see the hypocrisy? Do they not see the bullying, the manipulation, the arrogance? And they don't. And so wherever you go in life, throughout your entire journey, you've always seen life from a different perspective. You look through a different lens and it hurts. It hurts because human nature is to be connected. And that's the ultimate word. Why life is so hard for the empath is because we have trouble finding true, deep, meaningful, authentic connection. That's the biggest challenge for the empath, finding connection. Human connection. Humans, we crave, we need to be seen, heard, understood. There's a Zulu phrase called sawubona. I talk about it in this book. Sawubona, Zulu phrase, and basically the simple version is, it means I see you. And this is the gift that the empath gives to the world. We have the ability to see everybody else, acknowledge their existence, validate their existence. And it's very rarely reciprocated because everybody's living on this superficial level and we're down here trying to really get into the nitty-gritty of the human experience. And we strive for connection and maybe we'll try, let me go and socialize. And then we realize, here I am in this environment filled with people. I'm in this crowd and I actually feel more lonely than ever. And then we go back to our recluse style living, our isolation, purely to find peace, because that's where we find our peace. Maybe we'll find connection through nature, through pets, animals, cats, dogs, you name it, horses. Horses are fantastic, by the way, for the empath because of the size of their heart. Their heart emits the most magnificent frequency that is soothing and calming and protective for any human being, let alone the empath. But the empath, our soul, our heart craves deep, meaningful connection. Let me know if you can relate to this level of disconnect on this planet. In Eco, I'm from outer space. That's what it feels like. It feels like we are from outer space. And what keeps me going? Let me know what keeps you going, by the way. What keeps me going is this: purpose, sense of purpose. With the work that I do now, I used to focus purely on keynotes for corporate America, leadership, company culture, sales. And I love it and I enjoy it to a degree. But there's this level of human depth and meaning and connection that I miss. And so I started the last 5 years really dedicating my time to identifying, that was the biggest thing, identifying what I was and who I was. And I came across this term as a result of being with a narcissist that completely crushed my soul, by the way. Sometimes we need to be crushed. Sometimes we need to be sent to the darkest places to realize that something in me needs to change. I need to soul search. What is going on? Who am I? Why am I here? And for me, the calling was, I'm an empath. What does that mean? Are there other empaths out there? I've said this in other webinars, in webinars, in training sessions, in coaching sessions, in other podcasts, in other reels. Only 5%, depending on which statistic you want to subscribe to, is between 5 and 20%. Only 5 to 20% of the population are considered empaths. No wonder we feel so isolated. How do you find other empaths? It's really hard. This is kind of a humorous thing. Most empaths are introverts. Well, I've considered holding a convention for introverts. And then I realized, well, nobody's going to show up because introverts don't show up. Empaths will stay at home to find peace and solitude, to stay in their safe bubble. So then how do you find other empaths? And that was a part of my purpose, is to create this community where other empaths could realize I'm not alone. And that's why I'm encouraging you to interact and talk with each other and offer your support and offer your feedback and your perspectives and your experiences so that we can build somewhat of a community of empowerment, because doing anything alone is really hard. It's really, really hard. Thank you for listening to my Sigma Empath podcast rant. If you enjoy my content, make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. Go to the description below. Subscribe to my newsletter. Find me on Instagram. Connect with me. If you want to do a deeper dive in empath empowerment, reach out. Maybe I'm the right coach for you. Read my book, Pink is the Color of Empathy. If you've gone through childhood abuse and you're trying to navigate it, Amazon bestseller, Flying Without a Net. And as a bonus, I talk a little bit about life in Cirque du Soleil. I've written 7 books in total. Please connect with me. You can go to vitalgermaine.com. Everybody, stay strong. Know that you have this beautiful inner light. Even though you feel that you don't belong, the world needs empaths. Thank you.